The Toronto Blue Jays are going to the World Series for the first time since 1993. I'm Dan. This is Kyle. We're here with Bobby Valentine, and I'm still wrapping my head around what transpired because Blue Jays Nation was in a free fall until George Springer. Who else but George Springer with a game winning home run that proved to be the game winning home run in the seventh, Bobby?
Yeah, Dan, we talked about it last night that game seven, the big boys were going to rise to the occasion. And there's none bigger in the postseason in this series than George Springer. He gets up there with two guys on, and God, did he deliver. But a lot of stuff had to happen before that. You know, the walk, the base hit. Why in the world would Wu throw Kiner Falefa a slider? He only throws 1 out of 10 sliders in his repertoire. He's a fastball pitcher, and he throws him a slider, gets a base hit up the middle after a walk, which means that old Dan Wilson had to go to the bullpen and bring in a guy that he used last night for no real reason in the bullpen, and used him again tonight. And Bizzardo just blew up at the hands of George Springer.
Bobby, there was this sense all night long, even after the crowd was out of it, that the Jays were always this close to a breakthrough. They left the guys on base in the first inning. Then they had a bit of a lull, but when they were getting outs, they were hitting the ball hard at times. They just weren't finding gaps. They weren't finding seams. And then the entire stadium erupts when George Springer hits a home run. How difficult is it for a team to go from such a flattened out period, a stretch of innings, to this sudden exuberance of taking the go ahead run on the board, putting them on the board, that is.
Yeah, well, the fact that they were pesty the entire game,
Yeah.
they were getting guys on base, they were having long at bats, they were getting base hits, and Seattle was not. You know, everyone says, oh, it's all about the home runs, and they're going to talk about the home runs tomorrow, as that is the only reason that Toronto is going to be playing the Dodgers in the World Series. But I want to check that. No, it was a breaking ball base hit by Varsho, single up the middle to even the score. It was two guys at the bottom of the lineup. Once again, this Toronto lineup at the bottom of the lineup was the difference in this series. They gave at bats, they got men on, they kept the pressure on, where Seattle's bottom of the lineup was non existent.
After game six, we talked about how it's going to be all hands on deck. And Bobby, you said, I don't think it's going to get to it. Where actually, you said you hope it doesn't get to seeing a Bassett or a Gosman. And look what happens, because I believe after Louis Varlin was seen for the sixth or seventh time by the Mariners, I think John Schneider just said, we got to show them something different.
And a little fresher. I was really hoping it wouldn't be Scherzer, because Scherzer wasn't my pick to click, and I didn't like what he did to John in that third inning, and so left him in the bullpen. And Bassett was terrific, and Gosman was lucky. He had nothing, and a couple of guys on in a double play, and voila, he got out of his inning. But I was really happy that Snyder went to his closer. The guy, yeah, he's given up some home runs. Yeah, he has been a little shaky at the end of the season, but he went to the guy that got him as many saves as anyone in the league this year, and Hoffman closed it out.
And
That was really a
he
good
had the
thing to see.
freshest arm in the pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fresh. Pitched a little last night. Just a little tune-up. Let's put it that way. 35 pitches or whatever it was, but he came back with a good one tonight. And you haven't the entire season. I'll bet there wasn't one bullpen pitcher who threw 30 plus pitches in a game and came back the next day. And here in the most important game of the year, it happened. So it just shows that it can.
Let's stick with the bullpen briefly, Bobby, because the arc of Hoffman's season is quite remarkable. He was the ace closer for most of it. Then down the end, he just fell off a cliff for this team. They lost faith in him. And now he seems to once again have established dominance in that role. And certainly the performance coming in the ninth tonight, like the confidence of this guy now must be through the roof, being shown confidence by the management team. Talk about what that does for a team, having a defined closer going against the Dodgers.
you got to have them. There's no doubt in my mind that a guy that you can lean out at the end of the game when you start the series, and he now is that guy, it is a necessity. And if you get a lead against the Dodgers, you better have fresh arms and good arms to keep that lineup down. But I think Toronto is on a magic carpet ride here, right into the World Series. They're going to be playing a team that looks like they're untouchable, unbeatable, and stranger things have happened than to see a better team lose the World Series. I think that Toronto will be the underdog. LA will have the best team, and it's going to take the team that plays the best to get the trophy.
Bobby, we've got a poor connection. Maybe we'll take you out and bring you back in, maybe reestablish it. I'm blaming Jeff Bezos again because we had an Amazon issue today. I didn't even know Amazon was in charge of Wi-Fi. Um, but that was a downage or an outage across the country. So that's whenever there's a problem, we establish this today too. Just blame Jeff Bezos. Kyle, while we try to fix that connection, I just wanted to point out something that every single new baseball fan that was texting me tonight had a problem with, and I'm one of them. Vladdy Guerrero walking into the stadium in an Austin Matthews jersey. I'm like, oh no, he's done it. He has jinxed the team.
That is what I got the most messages about today. And I was trying to play it very cool, Dan, to be perfectly honest with you. But it was getting tough because the vitriol he was receiving online immediately after that. Now, the team may have single handedly reversed the Leafs curse this evening, but it was probably a poor fashion choice to say the least. But I think we're now all kind of over that. And
Yeah,
maybe,
but now
just
the
maybe it's
Leafs
a
can
good
run
omen.
with it. They'll say, hey, he
That's
turned the
right.
tide.
If he doesn't walk in a Guerrero jersey tomorrow night, then he's failing at sports because you have to return serve on this, do you not?
Yeah. And Bobby, you back?
Back.
He's back. There he is.
Oh, baby.
I'm
Uh,
back.
let's dive into this game and everything that happened. When your team is in a lull, the Jays bats have exploded this postseason. They score runs at will. It looked like nothing was going to transpire. They couldn't get anything going. Was anything said, or is it just the belief that, hey, we've done this before? We've come from behind more than any other team in the majors. No problem. They kept bringing up that stat on the Fox feed. I flipped back between Rogers and Fox, and they kept bringing up their come from behind victories.
The spirit. I like the leadership of Springer. I love what Vlad is becoming. Varsho looks like he has credibility that's going to last. And Kurt is that little mighty Mike that everyone loves. So the young guys filling in around that group looks like they're a good lineup.
Okay, Bobby. We'll try in our lead up to the World Series. There's bad Wi-Fi in California tonight. Bobby will. Do we know Z is Kyle? Do you know, is he with us for the World Series?
I believe he is going to be with us for the World Series, but it seems at this point it is up to Jeff Bezos, and he's not really holding up his end of the bargain.
Can we
on that
dive
one.
into that? When did Amazon get involved with Wi-Fi?
I don't think they're actually that involved with Wi-Fi. We could break down the game of what happened in Amazon today, but I'm not sure I know the full nuance of it. But I do know the umpires tonight, very, very tight strike zone at times. Lots of complaints on strikes that actually did nick the corners. But overall, I feel it was pretty balanced between the two teams. How did you feel?
Um, I was a nervous wreck the entire
Yeah.
game. I am a Blue Jays fan. I mentioned this today. I became a Jays fan in 1985 when they won their first pennant, when they were up 3 games to 1 on the Kansas City Royals and lost that series, their first ever game 7. That was my first ever sports heartbreak. Um, and I love that when I talked to Dan Schulman earlier this year, and Buck Martinez, they both drew similarities between that 85 team and this year's team.
Yeah.
So that makes me love this group even more. I can also give an apology to John Schneider because in some text exchange, I wondered why he would bring Louis Varland in to be seen by the Mariners hitters for the umpteenth time. But in the end, the Blue Jays still won. So that is a moot point.
It's a moot point, and Bobby had mentioned to us that, Gossman wasn't sharp tonight, but got the job done. The bullpen, they all got the job done tonight. They held the Mariners at bay when they were showing signs of life all night long against our starter. I'll be honest with you, Dan. I was pretty nervous when Hoffman came out to the mound just because of the way the season's gone. But I think setting up for the World Series, it really could not have gone down any better for the Jays and their bullpen. Should they once again tonight? This was really their only truly resilient win of the series because the other three wins, they were fairly one-sided. This was a back and forth affair in which they trailed for most of the game. They lost the crowd's favor, understandably so, for quite a few innings there. And they showed that once again, the cardiac kids can get it done.
Yeah, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I like 13-4 wins. I
Sure.
like not stressing. I like having joy in my life. I don't like questioning every managerial decision. I did like the Hoffman move though, because despite the fact that we did see him in game 6, and I wasn't joking when I said he has the freshest arm, he had not pitched barely at all in the postseason.
Yeah.
And considering the workload that had been given to every other pitcher in that pen, he was the best available guy. A lot of people wondered if we'd see Bassett in the ninth. Obviously, that didn't happen. Obviously, I just said it. That's a word you're not supposed to say because if it's so obvious, why are we sitting here? That was given to me on my like third day at the sports network that will remain nameless. My boss said that to me, and I never said it again. So that for all young aspiring broadcasters, never say the word obviously because, like I said, if it's so obvious, you don't need us.
And also I do that one all the time. When talking about the Jays, I always say we. But as
Hey,
you might,
we're fans of the team.
yeah, but I don't play for the team. But
Aha.
so
Did,
they
did you ever see that Wonder Years episode where he goes with his dad? What's the kid's name? Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin goes to like the state high school championship to watch his high school and they lose. And he says to one of the guys at the end, "Hey, we almost had him." And the guy says to him, "We?" And it just crushes him. He's like, "Oh my goodness, I was their biggest fan and I'm nothing." It was like one of the saddest Wonder Years moments that I can remember. Um, but back to the Jays. The Jays are advancing to the World Series for the first time since 93. They face the LA Dodgers. Before we get into dissecting what they face, let's enjoy the moment. Let's enjoy the next few days. That this team that no one expected them anything from them. Many analysts had them to finish last in
Mhm,
the AL East.
mhm.
And look what they've done. I already did it earlier this season. I apologize to Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, who I have said many things about and their decision making. I take it all back. I apologize. If I saw them in person, I would say, "Hey, you guys did it. Congratulations."
Yeah, it was impressive for them to defy expectations the way they have this year. But more important than that, and Keegan has made this point to us quite a number of times in the postseason. In the past, there was always this, "Hey, we made it to the wild card round" thing, good enough sort of thing.
Yeah, put up a banner.
And instead, this year they win the AL, and then they don't settle for just beating the Yankees because a lot of us after those first two losses against Seattle at home were speculating that the Yankee series was our World Series, their World Series, our World Series for tonight. Go Jays! A lot of people were speculating that, but they didn't show that in the long run. And now they're going to the World Series to face obviously a formidable Dodgers team, but with home field advantage once again because the Dodgers kind of had that Florida Panthers style season, right? They just sort of backed into the playoffs. And this should be a good matchup, Dan. The Dodgers pitchers are clicking on all cylinders right now, which is scary, but the Blue Jays offense is just as potent.
Oh yeah, you don't have to make any claims about the Jays offenses. They put up double digits runs in this series and against the Yankees. But you mentioned some key points. Beating the Yankees, that is on the season highlight list. The fact that they were down 2 games to none in this series and people were abandoning ship. The bandwagon was really filtering out quite a bit. And this Blue Jays team, I go back to the last week of the regular season. Sky was falling for everyone but them. And the Blue Jays just find a way to win at the perfect, appropriate time. And they do it almost every time in comeback fashion. So, yes, we doubted. We wondered if the bats would come alive, but they continue to prove the doubters wrong. And George Springer, the more he plays in a Blue Jays uniform, the more moments he provides for the Toronto Blue Jays. People barely remember his time as a Houston Astro. That seems like eons ago. He is now embedded in the fabric of the Toronto Blue Jays.
He really, really is. And there was one camera shot in particular on the Sportsnet feed of this game. I didn't watch the FS1 this time, where he was leaping up and down in slow motion down the first baseline. And you could just see the exuberance and the moment, the exhale. I mean, here's a guy that could barely walk in yesterday's game, battling through a knee injury, which is something we're going to have to get to with Bichette because we don't know if he'll be available. But for Springer to have been a hero now, a playoff hero in two different cities, that puts him in very rare air because, he was the key for one of those Houston World Series runs. And now he is one of the keys for this Blue Jays run. Had an incredible moment tonight for the city. One of the biggest home runs in Blue Jays history, without a doubt.
And a postseason to remember for Vladdy Guerrero. This is a guy who going into the final week of the season, we kept saying very loudly, when is he going to have his
Yeah.
moment? And he now has his moment pretty much every single game. So Vladdy Guerrero, they sign him to a contract. He is now shown exactly why he got that massive contract. Vladdy Guerrero is now in the elites of Toronto Blue Jays greats. And I couldn't help when Shane Bieber was on the hill today. Um, to think back to how much he looked like Dave Stieb out there. The
Yeah.
mustache, the brilliant white Blue Jays uniform, sweating,
Small glove,
and he had I think what does Bieber wear, number 57?
57. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dave Stieb wore number 37. Um, Bieber did not help his contract talks, but guess what? His season's not over.
That's
Neither
right.
are the rest of the Toronto Blue Jays. And here's another bright spot. Bo Bichette, I almost guarantee he will be in the lineup, at least available to the team in the World Series.
That would be a huge addition. If even just coming off the bench for key at bats, perhaps. They've done quite fine without him, but the lift they would receive from having him on the World Series roster would be tremendous. And
Yeah, but how
now,
how do you fit him in though? Because he is the type of guy who's watched this from afar and say, "Guys, you're up to speed on pitching." Um,
yeah,
I like I
it's
I
been a
I
while.
can't I can't work out the kinks in the World Series. So maybe I walk that back a little bit because he will see that he might hurt the team coming back at this point unless he's had 1,000 reps in the batting cage, which I highly doubt.
Well, once he was left off the ALCS roster, they obviously you can't bring him back in the middle. For all we know, he's been good to go for the last 3 games. We don't really know what's been going on in the tunnels with the pitching machines and whatnot. Maybe he's been only seeing Dodger pitching in that high tech video machine that they have in the tunnels of the stadium. But they're going to continue to perform without him because they have. I don't know if he's on the bench. That's probably enough of a moral lift. They're, they're just it's tough because obviously a full flight Bichette would be crucial against the Dodgers for the protection he offers to those around him in the lineup. But oddly enough, they haven't really missed that a ton. They've managed to fill those gaps in. And even a night like tonight, where Guerrero doesn't have the protection of a Bichette, Guerrero doesn't have the big moment, he hit the ball hard several times tonight. That line out after the Springer home run, I wish I could see the exit velo on that because it seems like it was off his bat and in the outfielder's mitt within a fraction of a second. So he's still
Yeah, they,
seeing
they
the
said
ball.
on the Fox broadcast it almost took his glove off.
Yeah, yeah, literally. It was lucky it was hit right at him, or else it would have went through the fence on the 3-hop. But yeah, speculating about Bichette is kind of probably wasted breath right now. The team has moved to the World Series without him, and
Mhm.
those that have stepped in for him have been obviously tremendous defensive replacements, to say the least of everything else they brought to the table. Jimenez, I have this thing in my head. I don't understand when Major League Baseball players forgot how to bunt, and he laid down a perfect bunt that was for naught tonight because Springer then went and hit the 3-run home run. But it was just a joy to see that, oh, they do have someone in a situation where you're manufacturing runs that can actually catch the ball with the bat, not reach for it, and lay it somewhere in front of the plate. And, the fundamentals matter at this stage of the game.
Jimenez just massive in this series. All
Yeah.
the double plays that he was a part of, the two-run home runs, that bunt. He's become a key cog in this Blue Jays wheel that continues to roll along, and they will face the LA Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani, the man that was rumored to be landing in Toronto on a plane that never did take off from LA. It was the greatest ruse. We still don't know if it was orchestrated by his team to up the asking price, but nonetheless, we get to see the greatest player maybe in the history of the major leagues face off against the Toronto Blue Jays, against the hottest hitter in the major leagues, and that is Vladdy Guerrero. In the lead up to the World Series, we will have wall to wall coverage. I can't wait for that. For now, though, I think it's time we go celebrate, Kyle. We
Yes,
go
sir.
enjoy this. I'm going to go watch highlights for the next 2 hours. I'm going to go
Same.
watch post game interviews. I'm going to bask in the moment, my friend.
Me as well, Dan. It's just enjoy the theater of sports, everyone, because we're about to get a whole World Series worth of it immediately following it, starting this weekend.
I can't wait. We'll see you this week.
Good night.